What's your job?
I'm a project manager in a software company.
What have you studied and worked in before?
I learned about marketing and worked in digital marketing for 5 years.
How do you deal with stress at work?
I do calming things and take breaks to feel better.
What are you good at as a worker?
I'm great at solving problems, working with others, and paying close attention to details.
How do you decide what to do first?
I use lists and tools to choose important tasks and figure out when to do them.
Can you tell about a tough time at work and how you fixed it?
I had a tight deadline once. I organized my team, used things smartly, and talked a lot with others to meet the deadline.
How do you stay organized?
I use online calendars, apps, and write lists of things to do each day.
How do you talk to your coworkers?
I like talking in person, using email and messaging apps to chat.
What do you do if there's a fight with a coworker?
I talk calmly, try to understand the problem, and find a way for both of us to fix it.
What makes you want to work?
I like challenges that help me learn and grow. I'm also happy when I see my work making things better.
How do you get things done when you're busy?
I do important tasks first, use timers, and ignore things that can distract me.
How do you give and get advice about your work?
I say specific things to help, and I'm okay with getting advice to become better.
What do you do when you don't have much time?
I break tasks into small parts, make a plan, and focus on one thing at a time.
How do you make sure your work is right?
I check things a lot, use tools for spelling, and ask others for help to find mistakes.
How do you make sure you have time for work and fun?
I know when to work and when to take breaks. I also do things I enjoy outside of work.
How do you pay attention when you're working?
I pick times for each task, turn off not important messages, and have a quiet place to work.
What do you do if you have lots of things to do?
I look at how hard they are, how much time they need, and which ones need to be done first. I also tell others if things might take longer.
How do you react when your plan changes suddenly?
If a project is delayed, I tell my team, change tasks around, and let everyone know about the new plan.
How do you remember big projects?
I use special tools to split them into small parts, give them dates, and keep checking how things are going.
How do you keep getting better at your job?
I go to classes, read online, and look at new things happening in the field.
How do you work with others?
I've worked in teams that had different skills. We all helped each other to finish things together.
How do you talk well with your team?
We talk openly, listen to each other, and update each other a lot.
What do you do if someone on your team isn't doing their part?
I talk to them privately, ask if they're having problems, and offer to help. I talk clearly, respect them, and find things we agree on to work together.
How do you help when team members disagree?
I help them talk and listen to each other, and we find a way for everyone to agree.
How do you work when not everyone is in the same place?
We use video calls, tools to work together, and talk a lot to stay connected.
How do you keep your team happy and interested in their work?
I say when they do well, give chances to grow, and talk about good and bad things.
Have you led a team before?
Yes, I led a team for a project. I gave them tasks, goals, and helped them do well.
What do you do if someone doesn't like changes?
I ask them why and explain the good parts of the changes to make them more comfortable.
How do you make work a nice place for your team?
I say everyone's ideas are important, make sure we're kind to each other, and respect what everyone brings.
Can you talk about when you found a problem and fixed it?
I saw less people coming to our website and made it better, so more people came.
How do you choose when things are hard to decide?
I get all the facts, think about what might happen, talk to others, and then choose.
Have you used numbers to make decisions before?
Yes, I looked at numbers to know what people liked and then decided what to do.
What do you do when a project has big problems?
I check the problems, ask my team for ideas, and change things to make it work.
How do you make new ideas and solve things in different ways?
I talk with the team, see what's happening in the field, and try different things.
What if you have many things to do, but not enough time?
I look at how hard things are, how long they take, and talk to others if I need more time.
How do you make sure your work fits what the company wants?
I make sure my work matches what the company cares about and follows their rules.
How do you get better in your career?
I set goals, work hard, and change plans if needed to reach my goals.
How do you make sure your work helps the company do well?
I look at what the company wants and make sure my work helps them succeed.
How do you do daily work and also things that take a long time?
I set time for both daily work and big projects, so I can do both well.
How do you learn new things and get better at work?
I take classes, read, and try new things to keep learning and improving.
Can you talk about a time when you learned something new for your job?
I wasn't good at talking in front of many people, so I took a class to get better.
What do you do if things go wrong at work?
I figure out why it happened and learn from it to make things better next time.
How do you do things for yourself while also doing work?
I make plans for work and for things I like, so I have time for both.
How do you ask others to tell you what you can do better?
I ask people for their thoughts and listen to what they say to get better.
How do you keep wanting to do your job well?
I set goals, enjoy when I do well, and look for new things to try.
How do you learn new things to do better at your job?
I take classes and practice to get better at things I want to improve.
How do you make changes in your work or when things around you change?
I learn why changes are happening, adapt to them, and help others do the same.
How do you talk about the company to others?
I talk about what the company does and share good things at events.
How do you support others in your field?
I teach people who want to learn, share what I know, and write things for others to read.
How do you make sure you do your best at work?
I always want to do better, so I keep trying new things and improving.
How do you get ready for a job interview?
I learn about the company, look at the job details, and practice answering questions.
Can you tell about a time when you showed your skills in an interview?
In an interview, I talked about a time when I fixed a problem to show my abilities.
How do you answer questions about what you did before?
I use a way to talk about what happened, what I did, and what came from it.
Can you talk about when you told someone you don't want a job politely?
I thanked them and explained why I can't take the job in a nice way.
How do you make good connections and relationships in your field?
I go to events, connect with people online, and have meaningful talks to make friends.
Can you talk about a time when you did something new even though it made you uncomfortable?
I led a talk even though speaking in front of many people was hard for me.
How do you feel when things don't go well at work?
I think about what went wrong, learn from it, and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Can you talk about a time when you managed work and personal interests together?
I studied while working full-time by making a plan and sticking to it.
How do you learn from others to get better at what you do?
I ask people for advice, listen to them, and use their ideas to improve.
How do you keep yourself excited and interested in your job?
I set goals, celebrate when I do well, and look for new things to try.
Can you talk about a time when you learned something new to improve?
I took a class to get better at something I wasn't good at.
How do you make sure your job goes where you want it to?
I think about what I want, make plans, and change them if needed to reach my goals.
How do you give back to your field or community?
I teach and help others learn, share my thoughts, and write things for people to read.